Hello, everyone. Hi. This is Francine from My Two Cents. I know we haven't been here for a while, but we're here now. We're here at My Two Cents, and everybody knows that My Two Cents is part of Autumn is Here podcast. We do shows on Autumn is Here podcast. We talk about different things that supports caregivers and people in aging, and My Two Cents is just the commentary afterwards. We're trying to just elaborate on some of the subjects that were talked about from the different guests. So we're going to go into it today. We're going to talk about caregiving. I was enough to have two guests that talks about caregiving and two different situations. So we're definitely going to talk about that. As you know, I was a caregiver to my mom for many years. She had Alzheimer's, and I didn't have any information. I didn't know anything about support. I didn't know anything about respite or any kind of any other ways to get help or any even ideas of what to do. So that's why I started my podcast, Autumn is Here. Now, you don't have to have seen the show. If you've seen the show, that's great. But if you haven't seen the show, we can still talk here. We can still chat here and bring up some points that, I think that people should know about, people should talk about. So we did two shows. We did one show with Sarah without an H. She was on our show and she took care of her mom, and she takes care of her mom now. She's been doing that for 6 months. She relocated to Texas to do that. And her life had to shift. Luckily, she does work remotely, has to travel sometimes, but she was able to do that. And she's learning a lot with doing that. Then we spoke to Lene Porter. Now, Lene Porter, her mom has already passed, but she was able to take care of her mother and her dad. And how she realized that they needed help was after she had a physical accident and she couldn't get around. So she had to go live with her parents for a little while. And she noticed that her dad had gotten sick, and then he got sick, and then after that and he passed, her mom had got sick. So she noticed some things about her mom slowing down and different things like that. So sometimes, you never know when this happens. It doesn't happen at a right time. Sometimes it happens when you're at your best. So we know that this can happen at any time. Caregiving can happen at any time. If you're out there, please say hello. Please say hello in the chat. We'd like to see who's out there and where you're from. We know we talk to people from all over, and we absolutely interview people from all over. So please say hello. Hello, Keisha Keish. How you doing this evening? I'm glad you're back with us. We want to, we can't emphasize enough how important it is to make people aware of caregiving and how it is. It's different for everyone, but nevertheless, it's still a lot of work that has to be done. It's a lot of things that has to be done. Tabitha, hi Tabitha, how you doing? Good to see you. Hi Lene. Lene is here, and that is someone that we are talking about today. We interviewed her, so she's here. She's on the chat. So thank you for being here. We want to emphasize caregiving because it's so different for everybody, but it's important. And even though whatever your situation is, it's still a lot to deal with. Now, one person, Sarah without a H, her mom had physical issues where she had to help her and couldn't get around as much and whatever, and she still had to help her, and she had to be there to assist her mom because of her knees and things like that. So that's how she became a caregiver. Lene became a caregiver of her dad and her mom, and she actually only noticed her mom having the problems with memory while she was there, trying to get care for herself. So trying to, take a break because she got physically ill and she had to stay with her parents. So then she started noticing, and it's very interesting how, sometimes if we're not around them, the point being, if we're not around them, we may not see the changes and the differences, So luckily, she was able to do that. And also, I think Lene said that one of the doctors had called and said, your mom never misses appointments, and she did. So it was good for a doctor, to do that. But sometimes the doctors are not that aware in the sense where they would notice something and call someone. So luckily they did, but sometimes it's not. And in those cases when the doctor is not maybe forthcoming, or or even if you don't know if they are or not, that's the time where you should make sure that either you go with your parents to the doctor, or you call a doctor, let them know that you want to be aware of different things, and ask them questions. You want people to be comfortable with their parents, and comfortable. You want the doctor to get to know the doctor, so the doctor will be comfortable and know that someone is looking out for them. You have to have somebody looking out for you as you're aging. So if your parents are doing the thing on their own, you know maybe 1 or 2 days, go to see them, go to the doctor with them, and let them know that, okay, there's somebody else looking out for them. Then the doctor may be more attentive. Hi, Lizette. Hi, Lizette. Hi, everyone. Lizette is from Delaware, and Sonia is here tonight. Hi, Sonia. Thank you. Thank you. Deb is here. She's from Delaware too, so I appreciate that. So there's a couple of points that we're gonna want to pick out. Some people learn different things as they become a caregiver, and some people don't really want to deal with it. You kind of don't want to know that your parents is getting ill, or having an issue. But when it happens, sometimes it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you grow closer to your parent. You know, they cared for you, so now the do it caring for them now, it's sometimes it's an honor. And both of them felt like it was an honor, to take care of their parents. Hey, Sharon, how you doing? Thank you for showing up tonight. I appreciate that. But we're talking about caregiving tonight, and both of them thought it was an honor to take care of their parent. It's wonderful how you may not have planned it, but both of the young ladies, they stepped up and they did it, and they pretty much were doing it on their own by themselves in that way. And it's a lot that you have to learn. I think Sarah said it was a lot that she learned, learning patience. And that's one of the things you have to learn when you're caring for someone, especially someone older. Regardless of the health issues, you got to learn patience. You got to learn to listen to them. You got to learn to see if what you're doing or what you think you're going to do is really benefiting them. So you got to learn a lot of patience, and that helped. Sarah said it helped her to be humble, you know, that, it wasn't always the way she had to do it. She had to listen to a parent. She had to see if what she was doing was good. So, patience is like Keisha said, patience is a big thing, and at first you may not think that you may not have it right there, and things may start aggravating you. But if you're a caregiver and you think you're getting frustrated, pull back a little bit, and see if maybe if you give them some room, because sometimes if they have dementia, especially if they have dementia, people think that they can't do anything, but they still can do stuff, and they still want to do stuff. So, try to allow them to do it. Also, like with Sarah, her mom she didn't have dementia, but she was physically challenged. But her mother was so independent that her mother wanted to do things herself. So she had to let back, because she said one of the things was that she felt like she wanted to be everything to her mother. She wanted to help her out. She wanted to do it. Her mother didn't want, her mother wanted her to, like, chill for a minute, let me do some stuff. They still need to be treated like they are of value. Sometimes it'll change, but some they still have to be treated like that. Deborah said it's a blessing to be able to care for your parents, an eye-opening experience. It will humble you. Yes, and that's one of the things that Sarah said, that it will humble you. This is what I tell, Keisha said, this is what I tell myself when talking to my grandma. Be patient. Yes, yes, because they change. They may not be the person that you know them to be. So they may change, and you have to change too. You know, Lene was talking about how, like, I asked, was it overwhelming at all? And she said it wasn't overwhelming to her, because she felt that it was an honor. But as we were talking toward the end of her mom's life, when she, was dealing with dementia and had some physical illnesses, it became more of a chore when she couldn't walk, when she had to bathe her, things like that. Those are more challenging. So that came into play. So it changes, your care changes, and you don't know how long you're gonna be able to do this. So I know when you start off trying to do it yourself, but please consider getting support and getting help. Now there's help out there. There's agencies that's out there that help you, like the Alzheimer's Agency, Caring Kind, MJHS. Different organizations will help you, and don't be afraid to ask. That's the thing with caregivers. You know, you learn a lot when you're a caregiver. You do. You learn a lot, and it changes you. It changes you. You know, Lizette says seeing your parent change into someone else is so hard. Yes, it is so hard. If they're independent and they are not able to do stuff, then it's really hard to see somebody that's independent just be able to have to sit there or do, you know, you have to help them with everything. If they have dementia, it's hard to see them because dementia is something that can take a long period of time, a slow process, but they decline. And with them declining, you don't know in what area they're going to decline. And it's really hard. It's really hard to watch that. And you know, emotional. It's very emotional for you, as a person going through it. You know, it affects the person who is ill, but it also affects the caregiver. The caregiver needs help also. Lizette said, my niece and nephew are going through that now with their mom. Her sister. Wow. Wow. Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people are going through that. But thank goodness it's your niece and nephew and they have at least it's two of them together. And maybe that helps. And, you know, it helps to share the load, you know, and it may not be your sister or brother. You know, Sarah shares some of the load with her cousin. Her cousin, he's a guy and he's able to help them to go shopping and stuff like that. And she has some illness that she just found out about, so she can't lift certain things. So he helps out. So it may not be, you know, the person you think is going to be. I think Sarah also said it was her sister was older and she never thought that she would be the caregiver, but her sister can't do it for whatever reason, so she had to step in. You know, sometimes you have, you know, discoveries about how strong you are in that situation. You know, both of the young ladies, Lene and Sarah, Sarah without an H because that's what she's known as, Sarah without an H. Both of the ladies just thought it was best to just step up. They just stepped up and they just did it. And sometimes it's hard to do that. Sometimes you can do it. Sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes it's hard to do it. But they just stepped up and they got their information and stuff together and things like that. Lene, because of her losing her sibling before losing her parents, they started getting everything together then. So she had things in place. She had her name on stuff, which is very good. She had her name on stuff. She was able to go to the bank and do different things. The house was put in trust and stuff like that. So they were able to do that because they had a death in their family. Many people don't do that, and you know, or when it's time, when something happens, then they're running around trying to do stuff and they don't have any information. So it's good to put that in place. So another point that Lene said is that she has to get her stuff together. You know, when you're a caregiver, you know, you don't focus on yourself, you're focusing on someone else. And sometimes you have loose ends and you really don't even think about like your illnesses or going to the doctor. You miss your doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Caregivers, please do not miss your regular doctor's appointments. Take care of yourself. Because if you're no good, then how are you going to help your loved one? So remember that. That's one of the things we talked about with Sarah, because she discovered that she had some illnesses that she's ignoring because she wants to be there for her mom. She doesn't want to be in a place where she has to be down and her mother doesn't have anybody, you know. So that's something to think about. There's some hard decisions to think about, you know, but I will say that you have to be able to take care of yourself also, because you have to be strong. You have to be strong for them. So take care of yourself, you be well so you can help them, you know. So it's very interesting how you can have two different people with two different situations, and still the caregiving is still a lot, and it's still strenuous, and it's still emotional, you know. As you go along, you know, the caregiving journey, you know, you learn some things. And you know, sometimes in the beginning you don't ask for help, but then you do. Sometimes you think that okay, you can handle it, and then something happens and you find out that you can't. It's always good to reach out for help. Sometimes people don't know how to approach you if you're a caregiver. So if you do need help, ask. Ask. Don't be afraid to ask. You are not the only one in this situation. There are so many people in this situation. They really are. Um, One of the things that Lene pointed out was that she said, like after it was over, after her mom passed, because her dad had already passed, and then she had to deal with her mom. Um, One of the things that she said was that she felt relief, but not because she didn't want her mom to go. I mean, she wanted her mom to be with her selfishly, but she felt relief because she wasn't suffering anymore. She didn't see her mother suffering anymore, but people don't admit that. Some people don't admit that. They don't say, well, they feel like, okay, it's a relief. Yeah, it is. If you're taking care of somebody for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and then when they go, they're not suffering anymore. You're not watching them suffer because that affects you. And also, you know, you're so busy with them now, you can focus on yourself. And sometimes that's hard. You don't remember, like, okay, what was I doing? What was I doing before I had to take care of her, or him, or your uncle, your father, or whoever? What was I doing before? And that's why caregivers need support too. So it's it's okay for you to go to therapy. It's okay for you to go to counseling. It's okay during the time that you're going through this and after you're going through this. All of those things, it's okay, because that changes you. It changed that experience. That experience can change you. And it's something where everybody will be changed differently. You may uh, feel like your family didn't contribute, so you may have some resentment and stuff like that, and that's real. you know you may feel like, okay, feel guilty about feeling glad that it's over. You may have some guilt about that. And that's part of life. We have to start talking. That's why we have to talk about it, because we have to talk about these things that are going to happen. It's nothing we can do that's gonna change if somebody's gonna live or die. We know that. Okay, so if that's their time is up, their time is up. If you're still alive, you still have to be able to um, be in society. You still deserve the joy that you should have. You still deserve to um, engage with other people. Please do not remove yourself from people and be alone. Talk to someone. People talk to therapists, people talk to close friends, or different things like that. One of the things I want to see churches have groups like that talk to caregivers, that talk to people who are going through, that talk to people who have lost loved ones. Um, you know, uh, our churches are still our community, and it's our resource, and it should be our safe place. And we need to not ignore this, because there are people in their congregation that are dealing with this. They're just not saying anything, or they don't feel comfortable saying it, or they don't know what to say or what to do. So that's one thing that I would like to see in our community, that the churches will organize in that way, that they will help the people in their membership and talk about, so they'll feel comfortable, because people feel comfortable at their church. Church is like a second home. So that's one of the things. But it's very interesting how we are so um, these things are happening all around us, and we don't even know. Sometimes people have a shame, or it's a guilt with it, or something like that, and they don't want to talk about it. For whatever reason. We're not trying to make people feel bad. We just want you to know that reach out. Reach out. It's okay. You're not alone. Reach out. Those feelings a lot of people have. Hi, Jackie. Jackie is here from South Carolina. That she says, that's true, Francine. It doesn't mean we love them any less. It's really difficult being a sole caregiver, and it's relief to not have to do it any longer as well without feeling guilty. Yeah. And people don't say that. And that's important. That's important to say, to tell people, like, I love them, but because I think people will understand that, but I think it's hard to say. It's just hard to say, because that's your parent, that's your loved one, that's your grandparent, whatever. Deborah says, I also felt relief when my mom succumbed to Alzheimer's. My mom was no longer suffering. She was existing, not living. Wow. That's a good point. That's a good point. And it's hard to see somebody that is not really contributing, in daily work and daily society and daily anything. It's just like they're just there and you're helping them to get along. Sonia, hi. Sonia says, hold on. Yes, it is so hard to watch. I thank God for my younger sisters. My niece and my nephew took great care of my mother who suffered from dementia. Cora, rest in peace. Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's good to have family support, and thank God, because people can have six sisters and brothers and they don't step up. You know what I mean? So it's good that you have family support, and people to understand that, you know, um, it is a lot. It is a lot, especially with dementia, because you don't know what you're going to get, and there are different kinds of dementia, and some come around, take a long period of time, and you're dealing with it for a long period of time. Raven said it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. When you're caring for somebody, it's not even only just the caring part, it's also the part about getting help. When you deal with the agencies and you have to get somebody at this time and that time and nobody shows up and you have to call the agency or they have to give another person in there. Yeah. So it's very interesting, that it's a lot of it's a lot of sorry, it's a lot of different things that you have to deal with. You have to deal with doctors, you have to deal with social workers, you have to deal with planning for them. It's so much, even if you're not living with them. It's a lot when you live with them, but it's a lot when you don't live with them also, because you have to go there. One of the things that Lene says, she had to go every day when her mom started showing signs. She had to go to her mom's house every day just to check on her, see that she was okay, because she started burning pots. So those are certain things, certain signs. um Lene says no one wants to admit it. Yeah, nobody wants to admit it because you feel guilt. You feel bad about admitting it. you know um but there are some things that we kind of have to face. We have to face. That's the only thing. um Jackie says, be true to yourself as well. It's not selfish. People are afraid to feel judged, but it's real. Yes, you feel judged. You feel like how dare I say that, like, out loud. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to just be totally honest and say, I'm kind of glad that this part of my life, this is over. We had a good time. But that's what I tell people. Remember the memories. Like, think about the good times, the good things, the things that remind you of your parents. One of the things is, like, I asked, like, if you had them for one day, what would you do? And you think about that. People think about that. And Lene was thinking about that and said that she would take her mom on this cruise that she wanted to take her. I think it was a European cruise and stuff like that. And just spend time with her dad. Spend time learning more about the house. Even though he taught her a lot when he knew he was sick, she would like to spend more time. So, it's things like that kind of keeps you up. Um, Thinking about just the memories, going through photo albums, remember different things like that. I know certain times, certain days get sad, their birthdays or Mother's Day, Father's Day, stuff like that. But don't isolate yourself on those days. Maybe be around your family, your siblings, or your husband, your wife, or something like that. Do something that your parent liked to do, and in their memory, just do it. you know so some of those things that, like, we take for granted sometimes. When we care for our parents, we realize that, oh my goodness, like, they were really, really special people. And maybe we're able to take care of them because they took care of. Maybe they showed us how to care for somebody, so that's how we're able to take care for them. So, if you have to do it, know that other people did it. There's no shame in it. um if you have to do it, it's not easy. Know that it's not easy, but there are challenges. But it's something about rising to the occasion. you know and it is rewarding being able to say, like, okay, I did the best I could, because you only know what you know. Some people don't know, and that's one of the things about Autumn is here. I'm trying to give people some information and things that they don't know that is out there to support them, or things that you just don't think about. Because I know I was in that position. There were so many things I didn't think about. But just know that there are things out there. There are support out there, and there are other people that have gone through. You're not the only one. So you know ask for help. And hopefully that we can get churches and stuff involved in doing this. Raven said, I think about, oh, Raven says, I think about how funny Auntie Lois was. Yeah, she was very funny. I think my mom, that's my mom, Auntie Lois. She never lost her humor. She just never did. Now she wasn't herself, but she never lost the humor. And it's funny how some things stay with them. Um, we don't know with Alzheimer's, but some things do stay with them. And it's a blessing. It was a blessing that my mom never forgot my name. She never forgot who I was, thank God. And even though she had it for like almost 20 years, but that was a blessing. Now, if that's all I can hold on to, then that's all I can hold on to. And that is a big thing for me. That was a big thing for me. So it was hard seeing her deteriorate, but knowing that she knew who I was a blessing. So Sonia says, I would take care I'm sorry. I would take her to Alabama. She loves to party. Oh, okay. But see, even when she had dementia, Sonia says she would take her to Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Where her home was. So those things are good. Like you don't want somebody just locked up in a room not doing anything. Um, even with dementia and it's hard, you want to keep them in a place where they're familiar, or take them to a place where they're familiar, or take them around people who love them so they can feel important. They may not feel be themselves, but that moment is still a moment of joy and enjoyment for them. You know what I mean? You're giving them some moments, and they may not remember, but in that time, in that moment, it feels good, and it feels good to them. So it's amazing. It's amazing how we don't think about we can do little things that will help, because we want to do the same thing we used to do. And you may not do the same thing you used to do, but you can do some things. So thank you. I mean, oh, Keisha says she thinks of Raven all the time. Oh, okay. She thinks about Auntie Lois all the time. One thing about Auntie Lois, which is my mom, um, I really do wish that I knew what I know now. I really do. People say that's, oh, you shouldn't think about that, but I do, because I know so much now. I know so much more now that, wow, I could have had some help. Wow, I could have done this. And one of the things, I'm going to read what Lene says first, but I don't want to forget this the point that she had made before. Lene said, my mom remembered everyone except my daughter's new baby, Ashton. Oh, she would ask, whose baby is that? Yeah, it's funny because they'll remember who they've known before, but the new people coming in, like, the grandkids, my mother didn't know either. Like the babies, they're like, who is that all the time? So yeah, so it's very interesting how every case is different and everyone's different. And keep encouraging them, and don't be afraid to look at a lens through a different way. If they don't dance and get up and do the things they used to do, play cards or whatever, watch them, see how they react to certain things. They might react to looking at pictures. They might react to drawing. Okay, maybe they never drew before. Let them do it now. It's okay. It's okay. You know, it's good to be able to be in a position to help someone, whether it's your parent or anyone. It really is good to be in a position to be able to be of help, because one day you're going to need somebody to help you. And we don't know how. You may have Alzheimer's, you may have nothing physically wrong, but you may need some other help, some way. What you put out, you get back. So everybody who has been a caregiver, you'll get some care back. You'll get, hopefully, maybe you'll never need it, but somebody will be there looking out for you, even if it's just somebody to reach out and talk to you and make sure you're okay. So as we get older, we all are going to get older, and we need that support and that love. And just make sure that, we are open to it and recipients of it. It's good to be able to be open to it. Know that you're going to be open to it, and hopefully there are people around you that will make you as comfortable as possible. That's what we have to do. We have to try to make them as comfortable as possible, especially if they can't do what they used to do. It's about them, but also you have to keep your health up too. So remember that. So I'm just thank you all for coming on tonight. Just remember some things. Just please be in touch with your parents or your aging adults, doctors. please get your paperwork and stuff together. Um, please, ask them about their business. Talk to them now. So don't wait until, they're, if you have dementia, they may not remember anything, that they can't talk to you. So you got to do it now. You got to do it now. Okay. And if you have friends that have older parents or older uncles or aunts or whatever, share this with them, share the information with them, share Ornaments Here with them, or just talk to them, see how they're moving. Maybe they're lost, they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? So share it with them. I want us to be more aware, just visually, just be more aware of the people around us in our community, in our church, in our organizations, in our building. People, they're suffering with stuff. We need to help. Jackie said, I need to do mine. we need to do ours. That's what happens. We get so busy with everything else. But realistically, we're all going to go, even if you're well, you still need to put some things in place. Don't wait till you're sick. Even if you're well, we all know we're not going to live forever. Okay. But even if you're well, put some things in place, because it takes the pressure off of your family. If it's in place, it takes the pressure off of them. If you get sick, they're going to be worried about you being sick. Now they got to worry about being sick, and they got to worry about the business. That's a lot, and you wanted them to make good decisions. And when you're frantic and you're in a crisis, you don't make good decisions, So make sure that you're able to to get some things in order. We don't know when we're going to go, but get some things in order. Yes, do it before something goes down. Yes, yes. And especially with Alzheimer's, because if you don't get the proper paper signed before your parents have Alzheimer's, then um, they're not going to allow you to allow them to appoint you as a healthcare proxy or something, because they have Alzheimer's. They don't, if they're diagnosed with dementia, they don't know what they're answering and whatever, so they will not allow you to do that. So that's why you have to get it now. Be in place. Be a healthcare proxy, living will, whichever one, whichever's best for you, will, whatever it is, because once they have dementia and are diagnosed with it, they're not going to be allowed to sign the papers to say, I want this person to be my guardian, or be my healthcare proxy and stuff like that. And you don't want them to you don't want a guardian to be assigned to you by the state. You just don't want to do that, because they will do that. They may do a stranger. It's not necessarily a family member. Hi, George. Hi, how are you? Oh, you are a miracle. Soon, any back straight. Oh, I can't see that. What that says. I'll be with you. Thank you. I love you. You are doing something really important. Oh, thank you. Thank you, George. I really appreciate that. Thank you for coming on. We want to just give everybody the information. It's important. It's important for our community. It's important for people. Like, we're not getting any younger. We're getting older. So we're going to have to deal with things and that old people have to deal with. Older people. People don't like me saying old. I don't know what you want to say. They told me not to say senior citizens anymore. I think it was New York City. They told me to say older adults, so I have to use the word old. So older adults, we all going to be older adults, and that's a blessing. It's a blessing. But make sure that you have things in order, and appoint somebody. Say, listen, your son or daughter, whoever, I want you to take care of me. I'm going to tell you my business. Seniors, you can do it too. You can help in that. Say, listen, I want you to know my business. Seasoned. Okay, that's a better word. Sorry. Seasoned. Okay. I will say that. I will practice saying that. So, but so everybody, listen, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And share it with somebody, and make sure that you check out Ornaments Here podcast. I do a show every week. That's on YouTube, or you can listen to it on wherever you listen to podcasts, on Spotify, Apple, wherever. Those are shows that we do, that we interview people in the healthcare industry, or support for caregivers. Caregivers share their stories and things like that. And then we come on live on Thursday just to talk about some of the stories and some of the points that we want to bring home to people, that we want them to share and just know about, so they can use. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you. This evening was wonderful. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's good welcome back, because I wasn't here for a few weeks, but this is a good welcome back. So I really appreciate that. All right. Thanks a lot. Good night, everyone.